We have an eSafety policy. We have some very good filters in place in school, so we're pretty confident that students can't access materials that they shouldn't. We can fully monitor what all students are doing, and although they can access it from home, they can only talk to other students and other staff in school, and it's fully tracked.
When we started using the learning platform, some schools were a little bit worried about it. But the platform is a closed system, so people who don't have a log on to the platform just can't get in there. So it's very, very safe. We can also track everything. So if anything happens and we don't like it, we can easily find out who's done it and go back to them.
We contacted our local authority safeguarding board and asked them to come in and talk to the whole staff about eSafety, so that teachers were aware of the issues that might crop up. And then we try and make very, very, very clear rules in our homeschool agreement so that children absolutely understand about what's appropriate and what's not. We just devised a very simple statement, and it's on every class page. Simply we say that whatever you'd be happy to say in class in front of your friends and in front of the teacher, you can do on the learning platform. And if you wouldn't be happy to put your hand up and say this, then don't say it on the learning platform. It's a very easily understandable rule, and we haven't had a single child fall foul of that.
We are represented on the Bector eSafety Peer Support Network, and we get absolutely fabulous information about what we should and shouldn't be doing through Bector. We have a very good system here in school. We don't believe in blocking everything, because at the end of the day, the students can go home and do what they want. So we train pupils in internet safety so they know what they're doing. We have our own chat within our learning platform, and the pupils access the chat, which is then monitored by our own group of pupils. And every lunchtime they trawl through the chat from the night before and they flag up any issues, and there's not an awful lot. It's the odd thing now and again, and then I chase it up and we put a stop to it.
Whilst they're online in school, there's lots of safety procedures, filtering and monitoring of the internet, and we can guarantee that children are not accessing certain things online. At home, we don't have that kind of control. So it's very important that if we're encouraging children to be online, we're also training them how to be safe online. But more than just training the children, we also need to keep the parents in the loop. So we invite parents in for workshops about eSafety to explain what their children like doing online and to try and allay some of their fears and explain to them that working online is fantastic, the opportunities are brilliant, but these are the things you can do in the home to minimise risk and make sure your children are safe.
eSafety is tremendously important, and it's not something that can be just done in school. It has to be done in the home as well. We have an annual eSafety parents meeting. Now, because we think it's so important, this year we're going to have one in the morning, in the afternoon and in the evening, so that we can cover as many parents as possible. Alongside that, we have an eSafety homeschool agreement. The eSafety homeschool agreement goes out to parents. They then come to a parents' evening and they don't get their child's username and password unless they sign that eSafety agreement. We have a very hard line. If the learning platform is abused in any way, you lose it. There are no 3 strikes and you're out. It's first time, you're out.
From the very beginning, we were conscious that we were encouraging children to use the internet, and that eSafety was a major concern. We devised rules for use of our platform that the children sign up to from the very beginning. We devised some pages to encourage children to keep themselves safe and raise the profile of this with the children. We have plans now to extend that further by establishing a system of cyber buddies where we train some of the older children more deeply in eSafety so that they can then advise younger children how to behave and to also provide a peer support for any worries they've got. We've always had a section on our parent zone which deals with eSafety, but we're strengthening that more and more now as children are using the learning platform more and need more knowledge. So we're doing formal training for parents this term.
The learning platform is an obvious way of delivering eSafety. By having social networking aspects within our class page, we're teaching our children how to be safe. We're teaching what information is appropriate to share. At events like our Parents' Evening, we can bring our children and our parents together and say, these are the things that we need to think about. There are areas within the learning platform about eSafety, so if parents do want to know more, there are resources that they can get from the class pages. So that whole approach means that we can take eSafety forwards, and our children are responding well to that.
We try to use our internal learning platform as a model for what's out there in cyberspace. So if we develop good habits in students in school, they're much safer when they then go onto the internet at home. Ours is a very safe, password-protected area, but we have very high standards of behaviour and a whole programme of training for students and staff on eSafety, which we regularly update. The eSafety message has been very much student-led. So the eSafety wardens moderate the learning platform for us. They hand out consequences to people who abuse the rules. They lead on all the training. Initially there were problems, but actually very few and very easily snubbed out. Once you realise the power of taking away email from a teenager, they don't mess about again, because to disenfranchise them from the internet is to cut them off from their social network, and they hate that.
The important thing in terms of eSafety is that the learning platform is an enclosed area, so they're only able to talk to staff and other children in school. Before we had the learning platform, children would have almost unrestricted access to the internet. What we've got now is facilities on the learning platform that allow us to say, in this particular lesson, these are the websites that pupils are able to access, and those are the only sites. And because we're using things like chat and using social networking as part of the work that children are doing, we have the opportunity to talk to children in a way that we didn't in the past about how to behave safely online. If you don't have a learning platform, you really don't have the opportunity to talk to kids about how you ought to behave in a social network.